All right, welcome everyone to our class meeting, our class update to share next steps in the Code the Dream School. Hope everyone's doing well. We really appreciate all the work that you guys have done so far. And we are gonna just have a little bit of update on the current class, talk a little bit more about the final project and what you'll be expected to do. And also talk about beyond the classes, the options for beyond the class. So we hope it should take maybe about 45 minutes, and we'll of course have time for questions as well. So I am going to turn it over to Alex to talk a little bit about the class as it stands right now.
Hello, everybody. So today we start Rails and React. So we are going to bring together what we have learned so far. So you'll learn specific skills that will let you contribute to real world projects, either on the UI or the back end. The mentor sessions will still be the same. Assignments will get a lot harder now. But you can do it. This is the time where you're gonna be challenged, and to be honest, not everybody's gonna make it. It'll be a bloodbath. But even if you feel like you can't make it, just keep at it. I felt the same way. I wanted to quit, but I just stayed on it, and I did my best, and here I am. So just keep doing what you're doing, and I wish you the best.
Awesome. Thanks, Alex. I promise it's not going to be a bloodbath. So Tom, let's turn it over to you to talk about the final project.
Cool. Yeah, so I think for the React students and the Rails students, towards the end of this session, you're going to start working on a final project. And I think we wanted to both talk a little bit about what that could and should look like, and then give you guys some resources so that you can look at that and just be thinking about it for the next couple of weeks before you have to commit to something. I think towards the end of the class, or I think for React students in 3 weeks or something, you'll have to submit something to us. For Rails students, you might have a little bit longer. So anyway, I'm not sure. Can we actually share one of those screens?
Yeah, sure. Tom, can I make you host and you can share your screen?
Sure, that works. Just let me know. I think what to think about, I think, is that when you're trying to figure out, like the hard part's kind of figuring out how to scope it, not doing something too big, not doing something too small. I think we tried to help you out with the rubrics. Let me share my screen now, if I can do that successfully. So I'll just share the, let's see. I'll just share the React one since that's my expertise, but they're very similar. I think the most important thing is kind of think about it like you're a startup company. Preferably a startup company that wants to build something cool and useful, and not one that just wants to take all our money and make us hate each other. But so think about it like, what is the smallest version of this thing I can build that will show that it has value? And here on this page that we put inside of the current classes, you'll see the final projects, rubrics, and I would highly suggest watching this video of our last Rails class, and you can see the final projects they did and the presentations they did. I think that'll give you a really good idea of kind of what kinds of things to build. Specifically, you're going to be building an app, and you're going to have users. And this is, a lot of this is true for Rails and React. The rubrics are slightly different, but you're going to have users that you can add, edit, delete. You're going to have some other kinds of data models. For React students, at least, you're going to need to do wireframes. You're going to have routing. And first of all, I understand you guys are just getting into this now, so some of this doesn't even make sense yet. But it will in the next couple of weeks, and then you're going to be off and running. But basically, this is a place for you to go look at it. I think good examples are things like we had someone build a pet finder. If you lose your pet, it matches and someone finds it, they take a picture and submit it. You can look at the pictures that are submitted and you find your pet, then it helps you contact them. Things like that, things like maybe these are the things I like to eat, and it'll help you find recipes. Maybe you connect to a external API, like a fitness API or something, and you build something for the amount of times you work out. Like, just, there's examples here. We can share more examples. Just start thinking about it. Look at these rubrics. I'll go to the Rails one real quick just so we can look at that too. Let's go. Yeah, it's pretty much the same. This one has a little bit more specifically about the data models using a one-to-many and a many-to-many. But yeah, I think that's the basic idea for the final projects. I think that, hold on, I have my notes up here. Let's see. Yeah, so I guess first, does anyone have any questions about the final projects just right out of the gate?
And you can either unmute yourself or type it in the chat. I will note that I think I saw that Shayla Hernandez is on this call, and Shayla was a participant in our past Rails class, and actually did one of these projects, and and you can actually see the project that she created we included that video as an example. So you can see one of her projects.
So no one has any questions as of yet. Well, so I will say that in the next couple of weeks, we're gonna have a form that we'll let you guys all fill out, and basically you're gonna submit to us your idea for a project. We'll just check through it, make sure it's cool. If we have questions, we'll reach out. And then once we're all in agreement that your project is a good project to do it, then we'll be off and running on the project. So that is the overview, I think, of the final projects. After the final projects, we will talk about what happens after the classes.
Tom, can we just make sure everybody's got the dates for the presentations? Because you will be presenting your project.
Sure. Yes, sorry. For the Phoenix class, we're going to be doing presentations on November 12th and 13th. And for the Piranha class, those presentations will be on the 19th and 20th. So basically, you're going to have up until those dates to finish your project. And then you can either be walking us through a live version of your project, or you can make a video of your project. That's really on you. I will say the video is much less risk, but live ones are fun. But we can talk more about that later. So after the projects, I think that we have a few different paths that we want to talk about a little bit. So we do have Code the Dream Labs, which is an apprenticeship internship kind of program. At Code the Dream Labs, we work on projects for clients. All of the interns are usually on one or two teams where they're working on something just like, basically just like a real world project. We use agile methodologies, Scrum for the most part. It's a full-time internship. You get a small stipend, and in order to get that at some point within the next month, we will be giving an application form for you to fill out. That's going to ask you, questions about why you'd be a good fit. We'll also share, I guess I can share this now, kind of our requirements and what we expect from our interns. And that is on this page under resources. And you can read this at your leisure, but basically what we're looking for is people that can contribute to projects at some degree, like pretty much out of the gate. So, but you can go through that. I think that from this group, we're probably, and all this is kind of has to do with budgeting. I think we're going to be able to do 4 or 5 interns is what we're hoping. And yeah, so part of the form will be explaining why you making a case for why you'd be a good intern and why you fill all these requirements. And then we'll do interviews. And part of that interview will be you walking us through a project that you've done, either your personal project or another project, and showing us kind of what you got. So the other path right now that we have is a practicum, and I'm going to let John and Ramiro, who both worked on the last practicums that we did, talk more about that. So Ramiro.
Tom, before we get into the practicum, we have a question about the final project that's come through the chat. So the question is, the goal of the final project should be applicable in one company, something fancy or sophisticated, or could it just be something that I want to put together for the benefit of a certain group of people?
I think it can absolutely be to the benefit of a certain group of people. I think that, I think that it needs to meet, the data requirements and the requirements that we have in the rubric, as far as like having routing and views and certain data models and certain CRUD functionality and things like that. I think beyond that, no, it doesn't have to be like some fancy startup company at all. I think that the less of that we have, the better in a lot of ways. I think it has to be something cool. If it's something socially like impactful, that's all. I mean, I think that's ideal. So like, God, please don't everyone do marketing automation. I'll die. It'll be my own bloodbath. So yeah, I hope that answers the question. If not, feel free to answer more. I've lost the Zoom part where I can see the chat. I don't know where it is on my window right now.
It's fine. I'll Mayor Alex will let you know. There's no other questions at the moment.
Yeah. So Ramiro, do you want to start talking about the practicum?
Sure. So I don't know if I can share my screen. You think? Yeah.
Oh, there's my window back.
See, Alex, can you make one? Okay, great. Thank you.
So I'm going to talk about an example website that one of our students did for the practicum. So basically, I think we want to make as many options as possible for all of you to have. So if you can't get a spot on as an intern, paying internship, you still have the opportunity to go through the practicum. And the practicum, what that involves is that you would still be working on a project. So it would be kind of like an internship, but an unpaid internship. So you would be able to continue, having a full-time job, and you would be able to, continue to learn, and you would be working with another mentor. And then I think at the same time, you're learning how to do that. So I think the length of that is going to be about 3 months. And then at the end, there's going to be an evaluation period. And that evaluation period will enable us to reassess if you at that point you are ready for going into the paid internship. Maybe you're going to be looking for a job at that point. So there's a lot of options at that point. There will be approximately 10 slots for that. And yeah, so if you can meet all the criteria for the final project, you're going to be considered for the practicum. So it's just a matter of capacity. The limit of 10 people is just the capacity that we have. We wish we could include everyone that completes the project. That's just how it is. So me and John are going to show you now some examples of projects that people have worked on. This is an example that some of our students are working on as a practicum. So they're still trying to learn how to style it better. But basically, the idea is that you have in North Carolina, we have a lot of farmers, and then we also have restaurants, and sometimes the farmers have extra vegetables that they can sell for whatever reason, and the vegetables just go bad. But an even bigger problem is that the farmers are always growing the same vegetables because they're just safe vegetables to grow. And the restaurants wish they could have more vegetables, but no farmers are growing them, so they're not offering them in the restaurants. So this app is sort of, we're trying to figure out how to make the farmers and the restaurants work together to plan what's going to be grown in the coming season. And we're working with a local organization that's making, bringing the farmers and the restaurants on board. So for the practicum, you're probably going to be working on a real project that's going to be utilized. So you should be able to learn a lot from the practicum. So now I think I'm going to switch it to John, and he's going to talk about another example project that that our students have worked on.
Yes, I am not going to show the project. It's kind of in an intermediate state right now, but the project is the CARE Alliance application. CARE stands for Coder Alliance for Racial Equity, and this will be a resource for posting, first of all, information about a timeline of events of importance to the Alliance, and also, historical events. It's called the Timeline of Internment. And it will also have a list of resources that people can link to of interest in this. Now, the purpose of the practicum is, first of all, to deepen those skills that you've learned during the course of your courses here. And secondly, to learn how to work as a team. We do use the Agile methodology. We use a standard Agile tools, and we use, for example, Trello to plan our work cycles. And you're all working from the same Git repository. So you have to learn how to work together and how to handle cases when people are changing the same code. This requires additional Git skills. So these are the kind of skills that you would need either as an intern or when employed. And so that's, again, the purpose. And also, it gives you a project to point to say, that you worked on this. When you create portfolios of your own work, you want to be able to point to work that you did that might interest an employer. So the practicum gives you all of that. That's all I have to say about it.
And then I think the next thing we want to talk about is, like, let's say that you were not able to make it into the paid internship and you were not able to make it into the practicum. We still want to give you opportunity to continue learning and progressing. So, automatically, if you're already here, you will get access to Treehouse for 2 months. It will be an extension for 2 months, so that you can either go through the classes that you've taken already, so maybe watch the videos again so that you continue to practice what you've learned, or remind yourself of something that you might have forgotten. And we also we're preparing some material on how to mature your skills after the class. So some of those things will be like how to develop a portfolio and other things. After that period, you would still be able to, we could still evaluate, where you're at that point. So we're still, in the planning stages, but some of the ideas that we're thinking about is that maybe by that point you would be able to create another project that then you can show to us to see, how you've progressed, after that period of 2 months, or however much time it is. So we still want to continue, to support you, to help you, and make it as easy and as, give you as many resources as you need. Anything else I forgot about that? I think that's it. But I'll switch it over to Lori now, I think.
Great. Thank you so much, everyone. As you all can see, it is, or I hope you can tell, this is all a great effort on everyone's part to try to build out all these different components to our program. I'm really grateful for John, Ramiro, Tom, everyone who helps to make it work. So I'd like to see now if there are any questions. That's the presentation that we have about the final projects, the internship and the practicum. So we definitely want to see what questions we have and how we can get those answered.
Thank you. I have a question. Can you explain clearly what will be the final project? We will come up with the idea of this project, or you will provide the idea?
You will provide the idea.
We will provide the idea to you.
And then you'll send us the idea and what you want to do, and then we can talk about it and make sure that it fits the criteria.
Okay, great.
So like helping to kind of structure it and make sure it's the right scope.
Okay, and also I have another question. If, for example, I will not be able to join to the internship and I will not pass also the practicum, and if I will have these 2 months to like review all this stuff, and then you mentioned that I will be able to show my project again to you, and what will be after that? I will be able to join to the practicum or to the internship, or it's just like I will be able to improve my skills?
I think that's some of that we're still trying to work out, but I think that we hope that, I think that our capacity for interns has a lot to do with the amount of interns that get hired that are already here. So I think the hope is that in 2 months there might be more openings for interns, and there might be more openings in the practicum, or we might have a new practicum starting. So and then who knows, we might have other like open source projects that we're trying to steer people to, or we're still trying to work that out. But the hope is that, after 2 months or whenever you want to reapply and show us another project, that we will have other things that we can do.
Okay,
I want to go ahead and propose a modification that we haven't talked about. I think it probably makes more sense to say 3 months rather than 2 months, because the practicum lasts 3 months. So maybe we would just extend the treehouse learning also for 3 months. And at the end of that 3 months, we would have, would be another time of evaluation. I think we want to be careful and just very open and transparent with you all. We don't want to make promises that we can't keep. We wish that we could give everybody an opportunity in the internship, but as our classes have grown, it means that there's many, many more students than we have the capacity to offer. So there's no guarantee that there will ever be enough slots. And remember, we will have another class soon, and those students will also be interested. So we want to give you all as many resources as possible so that you can continue your journey, like Ramiro said, and also be able to, continue to look for jobs even outside of Code the Dream. So we don't want you to rely only on the Code the Dream internship, because there's just not very many slots. But we do want to be able to continue to help you learn.
So we have a couple more questions rolling in. I think yes, there are assignments for this for both back end and front end up until the final project. So I think the React final project starts in like week 5, I think, and the Rails one starts, I think, in week 6 or 7. So yeah, you will have other assignments.
Can you read out the question, Tom?
Sure. I'm sorry. That question was, will there be weekly assignments for this part of the program? The next question is, if I'm not able to make the internship or the practicum, can I take the other part of the class, like front end? Because right now I'm in the back end. Yeah, so during that 3-month period where you have Treehouse, I think you're more than welcome to do any of the Treehouse stuff that you'd like, and we can point you to whatever courses that you're really interested in. And maybe that's a conversation to see what would be best suited to whoever these individuals are.
Furthermore, at this time, you all, there's no password to get into learn.codethedream.org. So you could follow along with the, you could just continue to do the assignments of the, of
Right.
the other track if you were interested in them. They're all there.
Question about how many interns we're looking for. For this class, I think we're going to be able to take 4 or 5 is what we are estimating right now. And the last question, what's the due date for the final project? So the due date, I believe that we said it was November 12th and 13th will be when you're presenting if you're a React student. And if you're a Rails student, I think it's 1 week after that. So the 19th and 20th.
So, but you will probably need to turn in your projects a couple days before that so that they can be reviewed. Well, that's how we did it before. I don't know. We might change that.
No, I think that's accurate. Yeah, you'll want it to be definitely in a place ready to show for a few days. A lot of code schools do like a code freeze a few days before, but I don't think anyone actually ever freezes their code. You're always going to be working until the last second probably, but you need to have it like close to done a few days before. It needs to pass with us a few days before you present it. So
yeah, be aware that these projects are going to be evaluated with respect to the rubric. We're going to go through each project and look at it very carefully because this is how you're evaluated. So you want to do a good job and get it into us a few days ahead of time so we can do that evaluation.
And the final projects are the main criteria that we use when we're looking to choose for the internship.
I have a question. Hi. Will we have, for the final project mainly, will we have one mentor assigned who knows what we're working at, what are the ideas, like the diploma paper, for example, or it would be just like the mentor sessions for the assignments? And the second question is, if I have several ideas, would I have like the possibility to speak to someone who can tell me like, this is possible for you and this is way too hard and this is way too easy, like that? Thank you.
Well, I guess answering that backwards, you will fill out a form to propose your idea for the final project. And so that is how we will just figure out if we discuss and figure out if it's the right scope and size, and then help you decide if it needs to be more complicated or less complicated. As far as how the mentorship will work on the final projects, that's a good question. I don't think you won't have like an individual mentor necessarily, but I think that, well, I'm not sure. How did we do that with the Rails class last time, John?
Well, how we did it is I helped people who needed help. And what we can try to do is indicate via Slack that you need some help, and we'll try to get someone assigned to help you with your particular thing. This is be a one-on-one help because obviously you're working on something special. But this is what I suggest.
Yeah, I think that sounds accurate.
And so for me, also a couple of students had questions. So what I did was just tell them like, okay, we're going to meet at our normal mentor session hour, and then they'll start asking questions. So it might be more informal than the classes.
I think there was another question about how many students will be competing for the internship. I think that really depends on how many students want to do the internship. In these two classes combined, I think we have 25-ish. Does that sound right? I think right now. So as many as 25, I think, or 30 competing for those 4 or 5 slots, and then 10 for the practicum. And I think we definitely have mentors that are already volunteering to help on projects. Thank you. And I think even we'll talk to some of our interns who might also want to help with some of these projects. I think that we'll be able to provide, you know, a pretty good amount of support for this.
I have one kind of obvious question. Hang on a second, I forgot. I forgot. Okay, I'll come back later.
Also,
Any other questions? Oksana, I see you put a sad face. I don't know, just wondering, is there anything we can
That was
address?
in regard that there will be no mentors assigned, and I think I had a clear idea in my head that that's how it's going to be. So it's good I had this session, I visited, so now it's a bit different. Then I think it was John who said that if you need help, there will be somebody who will reach out to you. So that's why I said cool, thanks.
Okay, great. Just checking.
Yeah, I remember. Sorry. You said, Lori, that the final project is the main thing that you will be like the main evaluation for the internship, right? But as I understood, only those who finished all the assignments and finished all the treehouse work will even enter into that evaluation of the final project. Or am I right?
No, you're right. That's true. So it is all together. But assuming that those who complete the classwork are then going to be the ones who complete the final project. So yes, all of that is important. Keep doing what you're doing, all the things. Did that answer your question, Natalia? Or
yeah, thank you very much.
Any other questions? Great.
Okay, I come up with another one because I understand that the final project will be a massive amount of work. Will it be able to, if the assignment would be something that I would like to add to my final project, to do that on my project instead of the actual assignment file that you would provide, or it's not possible?
I'm not 100% sure I followed. Can you hit me with that?
Yeah, I meant, for example, let's say I'm doing the Ajax. I wanted to do Ajax on my final project. And now I have this week, let's say 4 assignment to do the Ajax. Would it be possible to do it instead of my project and present it there? So I won't have to do it again later on my project, or not?
I'm still not 100% sure I follow exactly. I think that, so you can certainly use code that you've previously written in your final project and take things from examples. And if you want to build on something that you've already done, I think as long as it passes both when you propose it to us, the idea for it passes, and then it passes all the requirements that we put on the web page, then you're clear. I'm not sure if that helps.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's answered.
Yeah, just a suggestion. If the final project is a huge amount of work, then it's probably not a good choice as the final project. You will not have a lot of time to do this. So we have to focus on scoping it right. And what you will want to do is implement those features that implement the rubric first, and then make it nice. you know, and do your add-ons. But you know, that's a mistake you can make, is take on more than you can really accomplish in the a couple of weeks that you have.
Yeah, it's about 2 weeks for the final projects. The question was, how long do we have for the final projects?
And I think based on that, you know, we're not expecting you to produce something that would take other people 2 months. We're expecting you to do something that would take 2 weeks. So we know it's, you know, like John said, we're expecting you to, you know, what if the project is scoped correctly, it should be something you are able to accomplish in that amount of time. It doesn't have to be, you know, you're not building an app to sell to a company yet.
Oh, okay. I understood that. Thank you.
I don't know if we figured out. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Lori.
No, there's just another question. Go ahead, Tom.
Oh, yeah, the question was, when's the due date for the ideas? And I was going to say, I don't think that we've locked that in yet, but I think it's probably in 3 weeks, roughly.
There's another question, a couple other questions up here as well. Can you provide more ideas for the final project? And are we going to use free APIs?
Free APIs are always game, as long as you check in, make sure they're cool with us. I mean, I think almost anything will be, as long as the project itself is cool and it's indeed a free API. I mean, yeah. More ideas for the final project. Wow. Let's see.
That's something we can probably work on and get to people, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, I think what we have is a video with a list of examples.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And Lori, did you introduce that video?
Yeah, it's in the, it is shown in, or it's included in the rubric for each of the classes. There's a link to that video. And we could also probably just write in there some of the examples in text. But now, one thing I'm not totally sure of, Tom, would the React projects look similar to the Rails projects?
I mean, yeah, fair. I mean, I think from a scoping standpoint, they'll be fairly similar. So I think that those would all have been, you know, doable for the most part in React also, because they're going to be using Firebase as a backend. So,
yeah, if you watch that video, you'll get a really good idea of like what you want to do.
Yeah, and as far as the due date, like Tom said, probably in a few weeks, but we'll be sending something out. There'll be a form that you fill out. So we'll send that out when it's close to time.
yeah, I think mainly one of the reasons we wanted to have this today was so that you would start thinking about it, because I know it's like a really hard decision to make. I mean, it's hard for like it's like you ask for an example right now. There's a million examples and you put on the spot, it's hard to think of anything. So think about what you're passionate about and try to think of something that, you know, fits in there.
Think about the apps that you like to use and what is it about them and how could you scale that down to make a tiny version. All right, any last questions? Awesome. Okay, you guys can, of course, you can always reach out to us later to ask more questions. We'll be here, and you all are awesome. Everybody's doing a great job in the class. Yeah, it's super exciting. This is going to be the final stretch for your learning for this portion of the class. And then, you know, once you start getting into that project, that's where it gets really exciting, because you're bringing all your skills together and then making something real. So I hope you guys have a great evening, and we'll be in touch.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks for joining.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Have a good night.
Bye. Night.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, have a nice day.